US the US shutdown is over, and we will also get on top of that stimulus check. So you have no idea what's happening in the future here with the market. So we definitely need to talk about this and where Bitcoin is heading here in the short term. So if you think that's interesting, you definitely should not miss out on this episode today, and let's go. Sorry guys, my brain froze there for a second again. So we jump directly into today's content here. Just want to make sure that everybody can see me here on YouTube. Yes, nice. So let's directly get started here with everything. Yes, the US shutdown is over, guys. So here the Senate is passing, whoa, what is that? A funding package to end the government shutdown. So because Democrats facing huge backlash, which is absolutely not surprising that this is happening to them. So you can see here that the breakthrough came after Senate Democrats broke with the party to strike a deal with the Republicans in a move that has enraged many in their caucus. Some Democrats are now calling for the Senate Minority Leader, Chuck Schumer, to resign, even though he voted against the deal, as many in the party are furious that the agreement does not include any extensions on healthcare subsidies. So for us, that's really good. That's all what we wanted to see, that the US is opening the government again, because that will lead to a major pump to the upside. And not only that, we also gonna get, at least if you're a US citizen, you will get again a stimulus check. We talked about this here a couple of weeks ago, and now Trump reaffirmed that he is going to float $2,000 on tariff rebate checks. So, and here you can see what this exactly means. Trump says, embedded by America's growing affordability problems, has once again floated a unique solution, sending Americans rebate checks for the tariffs that his administration has collected. People that are against tariffs are fools, is what he said. A dividend of at least $2,000 a person, not including high-income people, will be paid to everyone. So, and this is a bold promise that he made there. So, but what Trump proposed was frequently floating that idea around. And prior to this weekend's proposal, Trump has in August said that Americans could receive a portion of the tariffs revenues. And now it looks like that he is coming through with that promise and will give Americans the $2,000 dividend check or rebate check, whatever you want to call that, from the tariff income. And that could be as early as next month from what I heard. Potentially first quarter of next year, but really soon. And once that hits the markets, guys, I don't need to explain you what's going to happen. So, and exactly for that reason, the dollar is starting to weakening here again a little bit. We pumped all the way up to here 104 points approximately, now pulling back at 99.57 points approximately. But I see here definitely a death spiral in the dollar to the downside, especially once the US government is here open for business again. I don't know what's happening on the YouTube stream, but yeah, at least I see that people are on there. Yeah, so here downwards continuation, and this whole move here to the upside can be then considered a manipulation. Then when we go into Bitcoin, here on the weekly chart, we are forming currently a falling wedge, or we basically are about to complete that falling wedge. And here this downward sloping trend line on that weekly chart is currently the reason why we are not breaking higher. This is a massive resistance that we need to overcome. And here on the stochastic RSI, what you see is also that we are this week bottoming out, and next week most likely getting then that buy signal, which will then lead to a massive breakout in direction of 110, potentially even 112, 113, $114,000. On the EMA ribbons here, nothing has really changed. For now, it looks like we are getting a rejection from the higher areas of the EMA ribbon. We pumped here all the way up to $107,200. And that's absolutely fine to get here a small retracement, especially as long as the RSI is still here in a bounce position. So as long as we remain in a bounce position, we are going to get here continuation to the upside in the coming weeks. Something else that I wanted to show you really quick here based on these stimulus checks, what happened the last time for people that were not around here on this channel. Actually, the channel also came just a year later, but there were people around that were watching me already. So the last time when we got stimulus checks was kind of here, in that area here. And afterwards, look on what a run Bitcoin went, and that was all stimulus money fueled with quantitative easing at the same time, propelling prices into all-time highs in 2021, starting in 2020. I'm not saying that this bull run should last until now 2027, basically 2 years, because that was more or less what we... No, it was over a year period. What we did here from the first stimulus check until the end of the bull run was 1.5 years approximately. Not saying that we get here 1.5 years, but into late 2026, yes, because that was based on old data. That's not accurate anymore. Now I have to see here, kind of like, oh, it's not that far off over here. So we're gonna put this here. So again, I want to mention that I'm not expecting that we are doing a similar time scenario what we had the last time, but we could be only, what is this, 60%? Yeah, this is roughly 60% done with the cycle. So why do I believe that we are not much further in the cycle? For once, all the indicators, all 30 bull run indicators, topping indicators, none of them has flashed yet, not one. And they gonna flash regardless of institutions, no institutions, absolutely doesn't matter. They gonna flash when we are close to the top. 30 indicators cannot be wrong. 1 or 2, okay, that can be happening. But 30 is a mathematical impossibility. That 30 topping indicators are wrong. So and when you just look at this, 30 indicators, and none of them is flashing that we are at the top, we are not at the top, So and that's why we definitely gonna extend this bull run into 2026, into next year, and I believe that somewhere around September, October next year, there might be the absolute final top for this bull run. If it's not happening before the summer, so in the summer, just before the summer, it could happen. If it did not happen then it will happen after the summer, which will be then again September, October, around that time, and then we are topping out, and then we go into the bear market. And this will completely be fueled again with the same playbook, that we have seen in the last run: stimulus checks and quantitative easing, because quantitative tightening is stopping next month. So now let's look a little bit about on the shorter time frames what's happening here on the daily. On the daily, we are getting currently a rejection from the golden ratio. Again, not a huge surprise that we are seeing this. So we on the first attempt, it was clear that we're going to get rejected. That's why I said, if we come back down here into this area, long from there. Now, today's candle got again rejected, and not only from the golden ratio, but also from this downward sloping trend line. So, but by tomorrow, after tomorrow, I see a break above this. I'm not saying that we pump straight to like $108,000, $110,000, but tomorrow I see at least another attempt into the golden ratio with a break of this downward sloping trend line. So, and for that reason, you can open a trade here. I'm going to give you that trade here in a moment, with the right setup, how I would be doing that. So also here on the daily chart, the upward sloping trend line was attempted to be reclaimed with the downward sloping trend line. Both has failed, but we are in the underlying support cluster. And as long as we are closing above $104,700, we will get a continuation move into higher levels. On the 4-hourly time frame, things look a little bit better here, to be fair, because here we are above the downward sloping trend line that we have put in on the 4-hourly chart, and we are also still above a horizontal level here, and that might be in alignment with the daily chart. Yeah, $104,700. We are just barely holding on to this right now, just barely holding on to that level. So, but and like I said, as long as we are closing above that level here on the daily chart, you're gonna get a bounce to the upside. So how will you know that we are ready for that big bounce to the upside? For once, here this downward sloping trend line on the 4-hourly chart will be broken. If you look at now in that way, you could make an argument that here is a descending triangle. And if you would treat this as a descending triangle and we start breaking down here, then the target to the downside would be $102,400 and basically retesting the prior breakout level from Sunday, from where the whole upwards move that we have experienced now came from. So again, don't think that this is gonna happen. Doesn't look like it to me, because we have here just above that a massive support level at $103,500 and $103,700 approximately, and the current level that we are still holding on to and not breaking below that. Now on the MDX Algo Scalp Gradients, what did I tell you guys yesterday? I said here, when we come back to the weekly open, I would use that as my entry for the next setup to $108,437. And I also want you about here these two dot plots on the React indicator, that usually leads to a small pullback. That pullback is now solidified with that move into the weekly open. That is a strong support level from where we should get a bounce. If we are not bouncing from here, then this would be a sign of weakness, and we will definitely come then a little bit lower again here to like $103,000 approximately before we then go back to the upside, because yeah, we need to hold that level. So bulls need to defend that level to continue this upwards momentum. If they fail to do that, and then we could see here a little bit more sideways chop. But overall, that setup here is, regardless of that, for now valid. On the 30-minute time frame here, you have more or less the same entry level because the underlying bigger support cluster that we are currently testing, we are just testing the upper end of it, is your entry level. So, and here you can just layer in your limit orders. If you are not wanting to market buy and pay the fees, you just set your limit order slightly below current price. You can even still put in a limit order at $104,700 and just layer them all the way down here to $104,300 approximately. So, and from there, you trade then the continuation to, on the 30-minute chart, it would be to $107,400. But like I said, I think the next move will be going to $108,500. So you can just trade this all the way up there. If I put here 108,500 approximately this, so, and your stop loss would be here below that low over here, and that gives you a 1 to 7.2 risk to reward ratio. So yeah, I don't have to explain you that this is a good trade setup that you can take here, especially since you have only a 0.5% stop loss on this trade and a 3.67% profit margin here to the upside. So here, this is a trade that I would personally trade with like 20x leverage. Wow, did my camera freeze? What happened here? I'm gonna check. Whoa. What's going on here? Okay, I did not freeze. I thought for a second something froze here. That would have been horrible. So, but I'm just gonna make sure. Yeah, okay. We are good. Crazy. So, yeah, I really thought for a second the stream fell off, but we are good. Now, how is my trade looking? So I'm still up here $14,000 on my trade on Weex. If you want to take any of these trades here that I give absolutely for free, as usual, guys, you know the drill. Go to Weex. You get still here $30,000 in sign-up bonuses plus $400 absolutely for free for binding your phone, your email address, and downloading the app. And if you deposit another $500 into the account, you will get access to my private Telegram group where I'm gonna send a trade later today. And you get $400 also, again, on top of that, a total of $800 that are not your personal money, you know, which is amazing. So you can trade with $800 that don't belong to you, and all the profits that you make from that go into your pocket, you know, so that you should definitely take advantage of that. And there will be a strategy coming out soon on this channel. In 2 or 3 weeks is I think the scheduled trajectory for this, when I'm going to publish that, where I show you where you can make huge money with as little as $20 by compounding your profits and just grow your account if you have really tiny amounts. So yeah, you should definitely be on the lookout for that. But more to that when I'm actually done with that video. So but in the meantime, get the $800 for free on Weex. When you deposit $500, and all the steps to get access here to the Telegram group are in the description, guys. It's always in the description. And if you cannot reach out on Telegram, info@amcrypto.us, or on Twitter, AMCryptoAlex. Now, liquidation levels, we will most likely come down here to like $104,200 to take out the over-leveraged 50x positions here, the long positions, which is absolutely fine. I don't believe that we see here a move into that liquidity cluster here with the over-leveraged longs. Because it's just too low. You know, it's currently it's too low to get into this unless something in the US happens again and the Senate turns around and says, no, we keep the government shut down. The vote is failing to open it up again, stuff like that. You know, that can lead to a quick move here down, but it will be only short-lived before we return back to the upside. Also here, still bullish that we are above the 50 moving average. As long as we are staying above that, you're going to get a retest of the 200 moving average at around $109,500 currently, and starting to liquidate some of the over-leveraged short liquidity above us. Now, when I refresh here the liquidation heat map, then here you see another reason why we could come here to like $104,000, because that is currently the closest and biggest liquidity cluster to current price action. But below that is not a lot. So, and therefore, I believe that from there we just take the momentum and push back to the upside to $108,000, where the next bigger cluster is, which will lead again to a short squeeze into 110, potentially even to $111,600 approximately. The Bitcoin dominance is here pushing back to the upside because Bitcoin is chopping around a little bit. So I'm not really surprised about this. And this is actually healthy. I want to mention this again. When you see something like this, this is healthy for the price, you know, for the market. It's healthy for the market. That we don't go in a straight line to the downside. You want to have in between some green candles so that everything can pull back a little bit, settle, reset, and then you get another big red candle to the downside, and then the whole market is running again. The same here on the USDT dominance. We cannot go down in a straight line here, so that we got here that small bounce is absolutely fine. What you just don't want to see is tomorrow and after tomorrow continuation back into the upside, and that was basically then here a tweezer bottom. That's what you don't want to see. So you don't want that this downward sloping trend line gets broken. Let me actually draw this in here. Don't want to see that. That will be your first warning sign. And you also don't want to get it, by tomorrow, after tomorrow, it kind of close above that line. So you want to see tomorrow a rejection from that to the downside below the support level here at 5% 17, and then continuation. The total free market cap is here back into our support area from $945 to $978 billion. So absolutely fine as long as we are holding this. Also here, the upwards trajectory is basically programmed that we're going to reclaim here $1 trillion in the next coming days, as long as we are holding on to this cluster here overall. Something else that I want to mention here, guys, if you cannot use Weex and want access to the Telegram channel, I got you guys. Sign up on Tapit. You need to look a little bit, but in the description is a link for Tapit, guys. You get 10% cash back if you sign up there on anything that you deposit. And I need to get this together again. If you deposit $150, you get $200 cash back. And if you deposit $500, you get 100% back, like $500 on top of that you can trade with. So that is a really good deal. Similar to what Weex has to offer, but just for people that cannot sign up on Weex, go to Tapit, guys. Now, Ethereum is trading back around our entry level. So if you missed it yesterday, your entry, now you have a second chance basically to get in this, because I still believe that we are going to complete here the W pattern. If you just look at the lower highs that we are putting in here consistently, there's nothing to worry about, you know. So, and also here, we need actually to take out here this swing high to fully be back in a bullish structure. But here, these lower highs are already an early warning sign that Ethereum is ready to break here to the upside and back above $4,000. Then Solana also back at entry. Everything just pulled back to our entry levels. So I hope that most of you did not round trip anything. But if some people did miss the opportunity, here is again your second chance to enter this and trade this now into $180 approximately. But on the way up, I would definitely take some profits here around the golden ratio and just above the golden ratio, and then the rest of that position is what I would let run into the upside. The indicators telling us that there is a little bit more downside, so we could go as low as $160, $158 approximately, but then I definitely see that we are bouncing back here to the upside because the stochastic is is here in a downtrend. MACD is indecisive. RSI slightly going down, but not insanely going down on the 4-hourly chart, and therefore there could be just a little bit. We're talking a 2 or 3% that we could potentially go a little bit lower before we go higher. Now let's talk about some altcoins that I'm watching right now that could catch a really, really huge bid here and break out. One of them is ZIL. I saw ZIL here earlier today moving. I was like, oh, that is one of the dino coins that did not really move yet. And ZIL is always moving in every bull run. And every time when altcoins running, ZIL is one of the top performers at some point. So, and I gonna reckon when we break 0.008 cents here, that this thing is going to push straight for 1 cent, 1.2 cents, something like that. It will make a crazy move in one single candle. So I'm pretty convinced about this. So watch that. At the same time, we are putting in here an inverse head and shoulders pattern, and the neckline is currently lining up with the horizontal level. And only that move alone here, you see that is getting us close to a cent. And I did not even measure that beforehand. So this here is already like a 20% move to the upside. And I'm pretty sure that this will happen in one single candle. Maybe even higher than that in one single candle. So definitely have an eye on that. Lower levels, if you want to enter this lower, there's only one level that I would be looking at. And this is here at 0.00746. So basically, how much is this? Just like 3% below current price? Almost 5%. Okay, almost 5% current price. Because we are here now in no man's land. So, and you need either a break of 8.1 or here 7.4 or 7.5 retracement to this before you can enter this. So either one of them is fine to enter this. If you enter from here, from the 7.5, then your stop loss, let me remove this inverse head and shoulders pattern quick. Your stop loss should be, this is a big stop loss, but it should be fine. Here, basically 0.0007 would be your stop loss. This low here of that candle. With the upside, that is a justifiable stop loss. Then the next one, Dash. I know some people now trashing Dash because it pulled back basically over 70%. But a 70% pullback is usually a level from where coins start running again. So here, what I'm watching currently on Dash is this downward sloping trend line on the 4-hourly chart. So once this downward sloping trend line is breaking, at any given moment, I'm gonna enter. I will not be waiting. I will be not waiting that a 4-hourly candle closes above that that trend line, because it is reasonable to believe that this will just keep pushing in one single 4-hourly candle, and then you miss that whole move. So, and I rather set my stop loss then below that 4-hourly candle from where it's breaking out, than waiting and miss here 20-30% of a move. And then should I wait for like a 28% retrace to enter this, which maybe never happens, No. So with coins like that, especially since they are hyped up, I'm not gonna wait. I see price breaking above this, straight enter this. It breaks $72, I'm in and gonna let it run to the upside. If it kicks me out here, my stop loss at 66 cents, so which is like a 10%. Whoa, is it really? Oh wow, yeah, it's a 7% stop loss. Yeah, okay, then so be it, then so be it. So just don't take crazy leverage on a trade like that, So I will most likely use like 3x leverage on a trade like that, which is more than enough. Then the next one is LRC, another one that I saw moving today. Now it's crazy pulling back. But also here, the 0.078 cent level, if it breaks that, it's gonna keep pushing here to like almost 10 cents. Now it comes back to the downside downside level from where I would long this, if we are getting this a little bit higher actually. Yeah, 6.4 cents. So pull back to 6.4 cents. I can enter this from there. If not, I have to wait for 7.8 cents to enter this. The target, let me give you here target. For me, the target on LRC, a little bit higher. I would target here. Yeah, 10 cents. 10 cents free would be my target here on LRC. So I'm gonna have a quick look at BitTensor because somebody asked. I did not chart this in like forever. So that's why I'm telling you guys what coins I'm looking at if you don't see them. So let's have a look here at Tau. Let's see, daily. Ooh. Back in a support area currently on a daily. That looks like that we are coming first a little bit lower again. If I look here on the weekly chart, if we are losing here $367, then we will most likely fall all the way down to $300. So, and from $300 would be then the level where I would like to enter this, more or less to the dollar, exactly to the dollar from where I want to enter this then. So here, you need to have patience that this is coming down like this. So if it's not coming down like this, then the next move here should look like this for Tau. So either one of the two. If you see it breaking down below that green box here, be on alarm that it potentially goes lower and you get a really good entry down here. So if it turns around from that green box, then here $397 would be my entry then, where I would try to long this from. Not from that bottom. That looks right now like it can go lower from the indicators. Because the MACD on the weekly doesn't look good. Stochastic going down. RSI turning around slightly. But when I look here on the daily, there's also bearish momentum on the 12-hourly, bearish momentum besides the MACD and the RSI. But the stochastic is not looking good. And also price that is a bearish. Yeah, you can see this here. This here is a bearish order block because we came here out of a downwards move and start consolidating. So if we would go from here back to the upside, yeah, in the next 24 hours, I would be really surprised. You know, so if we're gonna break here above $400 in the next 24 hours, because that would be over a 10% move. So Sonic is not dead, I can tell you that. I might talk about Sonic tomorrow. Now I have to go again. Oh, my camera is not working anymore as usual, which is amazing because that is the sign that I'm already too long on the stream when the camera stops working. So and therefore, guys, I'm leaving you here now, but you know the drill. I will be back tomorrow. Don't forget, smash up the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and let's see bigger portfolios.